What's going on, guys? This is Chandler Smith, and 2022 is like no year we have ever seen before, or no year at least I've ever seen before. In this video, I'm gonna go through all of the things you should not do as a real estate investor or a potential real estate investor, because if you do, you're going to be absolutely screwed. So with all of that being said, let's jump into it. All right, guys, if you're new to the channel, I've been investing in real estate for the last 9+ years. I currently own over $25 million worth of real estate. Now, there's been lots of crazy years in the real estate market, and I would say every year is uniquely different with its unique challenges. However, right now, inflation is at an all-time high. Interest rates are on their way up, and they're going up extremely quickly. The real estate market is also at an all-time high after having multiple years of absolutely insane appreciation. That should make you a little nervous because 3 to 5% is average, and we've had like 15 to 20 in a lot of markets. We also have all kinds of wild stuff going on around the world and even right here in the United States. And this makes this year kind of wild if you're thinking about taking all of your hard-earned, saved money and putting it into real estate. All that I ask you to do is remember to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the little bell. And now that we've covered that, let's jump into it. Number one, do not buy a property at the same cap rate that you would have bought it 3, 4, 5 months ago. Here's why. You can buy at lower than normal cap rates when interest rates are extremely low. But as interest rates start to go up, a cap rate that used to be good is no longer good anymore if you're using leverage. Now, in some markets like mine, that's not completely true because rents over the last year have gone absolutely crazy, and the market is still going up and has gone up over the last year. But even still, interest rates are going up so drastically that you've got to take that into consideration. And unfortunately, a lot of people are looking at a property and what the cap rate was, and maybe last year you could get away with buying an 8 cap when now you can't because of how bad interest rates are. So if you're thinking about purchasing real estate, make sure that you're looking at the cash on cash return and make sure that that number is where it needs to be before you jump into a property. Number two, don't bank on massive appreciation. Now, for the last, I'd probably say 5 years, I've had people come to me and they're like, Chandler, let's be real, you just got really, really lucky with this market. And the reality is there's a lot of truth to that. The fact that we've had absolutely asinine appreciation year after year after year for as long as we have, it's pretty crazy. And how crazy it is, like how massive it's been, 15 to 20% appreciation, that does not make sense and it cannot continue. Even with how crazy inflation has been, I'm sorry, now that interest rates are coming up, we cannot depend on the market continuing to go up by these crazy rates to justify bad purchases. I've had a lot of friends that have really stretched their numbers because it's like, hey, the last couple years have been crazy. I should have bought these properties last year that I passed on because the numbers didn't look great, but now they would have been good. You cannot buy real estate that way. Now, you can if you're gonna sit on it for 30 years and you don't care, because I promise you 30 years from now, well, let's hope, as long as things continue as they've been, you're always gonna be saved by the fact that eventually those properties are going to go up in value, but you cannot buy with that being your main reason of purchasing. And there have been lots of people over the last couple of years that have justified mediocre purchases, and they've been bailed out by crazy inflation and crazy appreciation. And I'm telling you right now, that is not a smart purchase right now. So please do not buy banking on inflation is the one thing that's gonna bail you out of a bad deal. Next one, don't over leverage. I am all about using leverage, all about it. But if you over leverage yourself, I promise you, you're going to regret it headed into the next couple years. And what I mean by this is don't spend so much of your money and pull out a ton of debt and a ton of leverage and not keep proper reserves. You've got to keep yourself in a place where you are very well protected with your reserves. And so at this point in my life, I'm doing this, and I'm suggesting to others that they keep at least 1 year of reserves for all of their personal expenditures and all of their business expenditures. That includes any expenses and loans on any properties. That way you're very well protected. Over leveraging would be going and purchasing a piece of real estate and not having proper reserves. So if things do go south, you're in major trouble. The other thing you need to make sure you do while not over leveraging yourself is make sure the leverage you do take on is not crappy debt. That means make sure you're doing everything you can to get 30-year fixed, or at the very minimum 10-year fixed on your loans, unless you already own a ton of real estate and you can hedge your bet with doing some of those short-term loans. But even then, I would caution you against getting any kind of ARM loans, because my prediction or my guess is even 5 years from now, rates are gonna be higher than they were, 2-3 years ago, or higher than they are right now. Even if rates do come down, you can always refinance. But if they go up and they stay up, and then you're forced into a higher interest rate 5 years from now, that could be very problematic depending on what the market does. Now, this next one I want to emphasize because your gut will push you to do this, but you shouldn't. And I actually had one of my good friends that owns, I think he owns $20 million worth of real estate. And he came to me and he said, Chandler, I've had a good year. This market's making me uncomfortable. I think I'm gonna pay off a couple of my properties. And in my mind, this is the dumbest thing that you could do, and here's why. He's someone that's been acquiring properties at 3 to 4% interest rates, maybe even lower on some of those deals if you really crushed it. So paying those down, that is debt that if interest rates continue to go up, your money just sitting in the bank or putting it into, very liquid places where it's locked up for 3 to 6 months and very well protected, you can get close to that in interest on your money and have it way more liquid and not have it tied up in a property that's not as liquid. Even if you tie it up in a property and you say, well, I could refinance later. Well, yeah, you could, but if you need that money, you're gonna have to refinance at substantially higher interest rates. So if you've already got properties and they've got good debt, long-term debt at low interest rates, do not pay them off. Keep that money in cash, because I promise you there are gonna be some opportunities for that money right now and in the very near future that you're gonna wanna capitalize, and you're not gonna wanna have to pull it out of a property at crappy debt. So please stack cash or find somewhere where you can get a small return that's completely safe, whether you work that out with your bank or something else. That's what I've done. I've just worked very good interest rates with my bank, and as rates go up, I'm getting my rate that I'm getting paid from the bank to go up. Now, certain things I've arranged, I have to leave the money locked up for like 3 months or 6 months. I'm okay with a portion of my money being locked up as long as it's an extremely safe investment with the bank where I'm capitalizing on getting some money back in interest. That's much better than paying down some of my properties to try and save on the interest I'm paying there, because I'm telling you, paying off a property and getting rid of a payment, that really isn't going to help you as much as having that cash in the bank to capitalize on opportunities, or to use to be able to pay those payments in the future if things go south and you need those reserves because something weird happens with rents coming in or anything else that could potentially happen in the future. So please make sure you've got a good reserve pile and don't do something foolish like paying down a property right now. Next, do not make emotional purchases on a home or on an investment property. I'm telling you, right now is one of the worst times in the history of investing to go and make a stupid purchase. Now, if you're sitting on fat stacks and you're not worried because you've got reserves on reserves on reserves, then yeah, go overspend on a house. Who cares, right? But on an investment, doesn't make sense to YOLO on a stupid investment property right now. So make sure if you're going to buy an investment property that's a good deal with good rates, don't get emotional. Next, don't trust realtors or loan officers or anyone right now that maybe they're picking up on the fear and they're trying to push you into purchase so they can pad their pockets. You want to make sure you understand the market and you feel like you're making an educated decision. They have their pocketbook tied to your decision and they're going to be motivated to have you spend money. Make sure that you're not leaning into, oh, like this property, it's going to be worth this much down the road, you should buy it. Or, hey, do a 5-year ARM, it's totally worth it because then you can get a lower rate now and you can make your numbers work to be able to purchase this property and you can refinance later, because you don't know how long you're gonna have to wait to refinance to where those numbers make sense. So don't give in to someone else that's trying to pad their pocketbook and get you emotional to make a stupid purchase. Finally, we're gonna jump into my last point, and I think this is probably the most important point, and that is that there are still incredible deals and maybe even better deals now than there were 6 months or a year ago. And the reason that I say that is there are a lot of extremes. And because of that, there's a lot of fear. And because of that, there are lots of people that are motivated to sell. They've gotten close to retirement and they're thinking, man, the market has hit its top, I would sell at a discount just to capitalize on pulling that equity out of the property and putting myself in a good place because I wanted to sell. We've had crazy appreciation, and so they're ready to sell, you're ready to buy, and a lot of times you can capitalize on an extraordinary deal that's a win for both of you. That's why I am pushing everyone very hard right now to capitalize on off-market deals. I'm not seeing on multifamily real estate and even on single-family homes the market dipping yet. I'm seeing it stay pretty consistent even with these higher interest rates, but I know a lot of people are fearful of that. Now, when they're on the MLS, you can kind of capitalize on that fear, but when you send out a mailer and you get an off-market deal where someone's motivated to sell because they want to cash out and they hear interest rates are going up, but maybe they're not paying attention to the market, they're not using a realtor, you can find a massive win-win for both of you. That's why I've included a link below where you can get 10% off from BALLPOINT Marketing. They're who I have used, and I have 4 deals under contract at extraordinary deals because I found off-market people that were motivated to sell, and I got a massive discount on those properties. So I'm telling you to use this time, use the fear that's out there and capitalize on it. And you can do that by using those mailers below. Now, if you don't know how to go through this process, you don't know how to find good deals, I'm telling you, go snag my real estate investing course. The price is going up if it hasn't already, but also we have some really fun things coming. We're gonna have a Discord, we're gonna have monthly calls, we're gonna have all kinds of really cool stuff to help you capitalize on some incredible deals, and I've included the link for that below as well. So I hope you took this video in the right way. I know there are lots of things to avoid, but the one thing you should not avoid is constantly purchasing real estate at an incredible deal, because that's what's gonna benefit you and your family in the long term. Now, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure remember to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the little bell, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the future videos. Thanks guys, have a great night.